Welcome to the PTR Physiotherapy Rehab Podcast. My name is Warwick Schmidt, and in this podcast we interview subject matter experts, authors and elite athletes to help inform clinicians and patients and generate discussions around sports, rehab, health and how to get people back to their best. We hope you can take away some content and use it in your practice. Okay, welcome to the PTR Rehab Podcast, where we talk about injury and rehab topics. Today we have an athlete interview, and today we have Dean Bowring. He is a world-class powerlifter. He has numerous accolades, which I'll ask him to run through in a second, including, if I'm not mistaken, World Masters Bench Champ, World Champs Open 2009, 2013, Commonwealth Champs 2005, 2011. And a little bit more recently, a couple of world records, is that right? There's a Masters?
No.
Or was that further back?
Yeah, I won some Masters Euros just recently.
Just recent?
Yeah,
Excellent.
so I mean, I started powerlifting in 1994. I just basically stumbled across it in like a leisure centre.
Okay.
I went there as part of my college course, and a guy in there said, "Crikey, you're pretty strong.
Yeah.
You should do free weights." And I had no idea what that was.
Okay. How old were you at this time?
So I was 17.
17? Okay.
And so he gave me the address of a place in Southampton, Bedford Place, Terry Morris's gym. Basically, it was a brick building in his garden. Yeah. Went across there, and he said, "Do you want to be a powerlifter or weightlifter?" He showed me the differences between the two. I said I quite like powerlifting, and that was it. I never looked back.
Stuck to it like a
yeah. Well, I was pretty strong. I really enjoyed it. I can even remember. So on that day, something I would never do if I was teaching somebody to powerlift. Yeah. But he got me to max out on the first day in the gym.
Okay.
So, but I can remember as in his gym, 17.
Yeah.
I did a 165 squat, 105 kilo bench, and a 205 kilo deadlift.
That natural.
Yeah.
Real natural talent.
So he said, like, you'd be really good at this. So
awesome. And
then I carried on, and then next thing I knew, I'd entered the British Championships.
Okay. How long after that session do you think?
I think it was in the same year.
Okay.
I entered the British Championships. So I did a divisional, qualified for the British.
Sure.
Back then, you used to get a letter inviting you to come to the British Championships. You don't get that now.
No. Okay.
Then so off I went. My family were really supportive.
Great.
So I'd never really been into sport apart from that.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty big step up.
And then off I went. So went to the British. For my first British, I came second. And I didn't like the feeling of coming second. So
so that started that.
So that really started things. So off I went then, and I trained really hard. Went back to that was the under 18 British Championships, and at that time, under 18 and under 23 was two separate competitions. So I then went to the under 23s because in doing the under 18 one, I'd qualified for the under 23s
with the weights you were
with the weights I lifted.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
that same guy was there that beat me in the under 18s, and I then beat him.
Awesome.
And then I got invited onto the international team. So then 1994, I think, was my.
That's it. The world. I didn't sent me the list.
So I think I then went off to the Euros in '94.
Okay.
Where I didn't. I think I came about 8th or 9th or something like that.
You got there. You sent me the Euro Junior Champs third.
What, 94?
94 third.
Maybe it was 93. Then it all started for me.
Maybe you said 92.
My first one was definitely my first one was definitely Belgium, and I was about 8th or 9th, I think.
Great.
And then it all just went mad from there, and I started winning, and I'm winning domestically, and then got medals internationally.
Yeah, I mean the list is extensive.
Yeah, so and then here we are today. I didn't think I put it on there, but 31 British titles. So I've won British Championships 31 times.
That's good. That's amazing.
And then I think on the list is 23 or so international top threes.
Right. That's impressive. And so the bookend, because we're going to go through the middle of those, but you said you recently, congrats on the recent title. When did you compete for that? You said more recently, is that the 2024 one, that T-shirt?
No. So now I think my last competition was, I think I did the Euros in Euro Masters in 23, which I won. And then I think just after that, I did a big competition in Manchester, which was like, they call it Manchester Open, which I won that. But that then was like the end for me. My hip was getting pretty bad. Okay. And I'm sure we'll discuss. I've got arthritis now. So into that. Yeah. That's kind of finished competitive powerlifting for me at the moment. Although I have just entered a bench press comp. bench only. So
yes, you do.
we'll see.
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure those that will go really well. And I think you said 93, 94. You sent me there was 94, 95, 6, 7. You were third, first, third, second, and then it just kept going on. Did you when you got into the team? Did you start to quite quickly size yourself up against others and feel that you had that advantage naturally, or did it take time as a youngster?
Funny actually,
around other people.
I think when I first got on the team, I didn't expect to be winning internationally. I'd seen what the other guys internationally were lifting, and obviously I'd fell into this sport. I didn't even really know what it was about.
That's it.
And and they and I thought they're all going to be like superhuman compared to me. Because I'm still pretty chubby, but I was a bit of a chubby kid. I just naturally was all right at being strong. So I when I went to my first Europeans, the one we said in Belgium, I saw that the guys looked the same as me. They were lifting a lot more weight, but they looked the same as me.
Gotcha.
And I think a switch flipped in my head, and it was like, if they can do it, then why can't I? And that's what happened. And I think I put well over 100 kilos on my total in the next 9 months, I think.
That's incredible.
And it's just because that the switch that had gone that
that drive.
I can do it. Yeah. So and away I went, and it was.
And that we'll come back to the coaching because that's quite interesting. Is that hopefully the audience will be physios and people interested in powerlifting, but it might pick your brains a little bit. How a physio you might advise physios to help powerlifters in the future. But your coaching, you were with the same coach all the way through, is that right?
No. So I started, basically I was doing everything myself. I was like reading Weeder magazine.
Yeah.
So I was basically kind of doing bodybuilding workouts.
Gotcha.
And then just lifting big weights on the days that I did the big weights, or the main lifts, the squat, bench, or powerlift, or deadlift. Yeah. But and then I picked up a coach, Ron Reeves, his name was. Yeah. He was a great man. He's passed away now, but. He took me right up and won loads of junior stuff. Sort of really got me to love the sport and who I was. And then I moved on from Ron to a guy called Aaron Singh, and we're still great friends today. Great. And then that's when I really took off then.
Took off.
Yeah. I think anything in the strength sport, if you're going to do it naturally, takes a long time. It's I think 8 years, I think, is where you got to start. Is where if you put 8 years into it, then you'll really start to make the gains. If you've already been training before powerlifting, it might be a little different to that. But if you've not done anything, I think you turn 8 years is where you have your benchmark for getting strong. And I think my strongest years, I think 2014 was probably my strongest year. Yeah. And I was 40 then, so we're talking.
That is.
Yeah. So so then, it's 23 years before I hit my stride. That was my strongest year, and I actually didn't win anything that year. I won a third in the Europeans, I think, and then I went to the Worlds, and the Worlds that year was my best ever performance, and I came fourth.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? You just got to hit your PBs, do your best. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So the first knee injury. That was what I was going to ask you. Sorry, was to come back and just for listeners, just briefly explain. You earlier on we were having a chat. Watching your son do incredible lifts, which hopefully we'll put a little, if he's okay, we'll put a little highlights reel, because it was incredible to see. But you started having you kind of enlightened me about what the different types of powerlifting are, and you had the two types.
Yeah, so there's two different types of powerlifting. So you've got powerlifting, which allows you to wear equipment. So they wear knee wraps on their knees, which is like a stretchy bandage that are tied around their knees, and super suit. So it's like a harness.
I might have seen
leotard.
pictures. Yeah.
So it's like a thick leotard that they wear.
Okay.
And it's like a harness. So when you sit back into the squat, it's really tight. So it kind of takes a little bit of the weight off the bar. Sure. As you sit into it.
Sure. Can I just ask you that?
Oh, sorry.
No.
And then bench press, they wear, again, it's a t-shirt, but really thick material, but the sleeves come forward. So when you bend your arm, you stretch the front of the shirt.
Got you.
And that the same thing applies there. It takes weights off the bar. The idea is
Gotcha.
that. So and then obviously in classic powerlifting, You're not allowed to wear any of those things.
No, absolutely. So which one did you tend to move into?
So when I started powerlifting, there was only powerlifting. The classic powerlifting didn't exist.
Yeah.
So you wore a super suit, or you didn't. You didn't have to wear any of that stuff.
They weren't differentiated.
No, but everyone wore one because obviously it makes you lift a little bit of weight.
Little help, isn't it?
Yeah.
Little nudge.
I have lifted classic a couple of times, but it's never really interested me. It's only actually been around. I think the first Worlds was 2014 or 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think was the first Worlds, so I was well into powerlifting by then, and I'm kind of indoctrinated into that wearing that kit. Yeah.
Sure. No, an amazing career. You had the last bit I'd like to talk about. I don't know if you're more than welcome to move on, but the full powerlifting world record Masters 1, the total 10:45. When did you achieve that one?
So actually, that total was done at the best ever competition that I said I just did. 2014 World Championships, where it was the men's World Championships.
Okay.
But you can do a Masters World Record. So it was a Masters World Record, but because I was 40.
Yeah.
So I achieved it at that competition. It only just got broke last year. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
great. What was the cutoff for Masters?
It's 40.
It's 40. So you were okay.
Yeah. So when you turn 40, that's it. You're in the Masters then.
Nice. So there's still hope for everyone who thinks they can't get strong and they're 40.
Yeah, I mean that was my best years.
I mean,
so I think
it's amazing.
Yeah, my best years 35 to 41 was probably my best years. Yeah.
That's interesting because there's a kind of anecdotal but also evidence to show endurance sports people do better in their late 30s, early 40s when they maybe ultra running. So you've got a complete other end of the spectrum, but at least if you wanted to drift one way, you can still get improvements in both. So the first injury, we don't have to necessarily bullet point everything and go through detail, but there is one we both know we're going to try and talk through, which was pretty severe. But the first one was an arthroscopy in '97. Was that something that put you back quite far?
Not really. I can remember I'd not long been training really. Just a couple 3 years, and my knee was aching terrible. And like I say, I've always been quite a big lad anyway. So I just went to the doctors and they sent me for physio, and then that didn't really work. Yeah. And then you know what the NHS is like, takes a little bit of time. Next thing you know, he's saying, I think you need to see a consultant. So I went to see a consultant. They said we need to have a look inside there. So basically, that's what an arthroscopy is they just have a little look inside, see if there's anything. But he said, while we're in there, it's only keyhole surgery, but we can clean any debris out.
Correct.
If there's anything we can see, we can, remove it or whatever. So, which is what they did. They said they just flushed it all out. And after that, I felt marvellous after that. So
did that, how long was that? I mean, it's a while back now, but how long was that rehab, do you think?
It wasn't very long. It's probably only, 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, and I felt pretty good again.
That's pretty much it. If it's not a disruption to too much of the main ligaments as well. So if it's a small lesion, they'll just kind of clean it up. So and that knee, touch wood, hasn't caused any problems since.
No,
pretty good.
No, I have had another knee surgery since then, which I put as an arthroscopy on that list, but it actually wasn't. It was a tendon decompression.
Okay, talk to me about that.
So it was me I was actually at a powerlifting competition in Denmark.
Yeah,
and there was an assault course we were staying on like a.
It's a good start.
Yeah, we were staying on the accommodation was like log cabins, and in the middle of all the log cabins was an assault course. Okay. And me and my friend Ellie, who's also a world champion powerlifter, she said, "Let's go and do the assault course." So I did it, and I can remember jumping over a fence or whatever it was, in the assault course, and I landed really heavily on my knee. I didn't think anything of it, but it started to ache. And what it was, I'd had I can't think whether it's the straight up and down tear in the tendon in the knee.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is why it wasn't healing, because it was straight up and down. So it just wasn't coming together.
Was this the one in the kneecap?
Just below. Yeah. So then, so the decompression is they go in and they make lots more cuts in it, in the idea that your body will then say, right, there's actually some damage there. We're going to repair it.
Let's get some healing going.
And that's exactly what happened again.
Awesome.
So all credit, that was it. And I carried on powerlifting after that. Yeah.
Amazing. And then pushed on to some big weights as well. So that's cool.
Well, that was 2018. So I was kind of.
Oh, sorry. Yes. 2014.
So that was 2018. So I was already done with that. I did win some masters stuff after that. So it's all right.
Still kept going. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Quite a, I guess, common, but not common in the powerlifting, weightlifting world is the torn bicep. I think everybody's watching, and yourself probably seen some viral videos where people have had pings. How did yours present?
Again, the same thing. I was doing a deadlift. I was a little bit overexcited, and I snatched at the bar instead of actually having a straight arm when you pull on it.
Yeah.
Which is what I teach all my lifters. Hands are hooks. So when you do a deadlift, if you imagine your hand is a hook, so it's pulling your arm straight. You're not engaging the bicep in any way.
Yeah.
And what happened to me? I think it was about 340 kilos, and as I started to lift it, I snatched at it. And that was it, and the bicep just went.
Did the bar come off the floor? Did the plates come off the floor?
Yeah, it was already come off the floor, and then it just went.
Yeah.
Obviously, let the bar go. And then, stupidly, I was told by a doctor that it wasn't a complete tear. And then, all these years later, I got a little tiny bicep.
I was going to ask, so that was in the list, but we didn't see whether you had surgical repair, whether you
No, just got left.
Got left. Okay, all right. But, I mean, it's in terms of the evidence, if you're younger, more athletic, they tend to try and push for surgery. By that stage, you were... How old were you?
I wasn't too old. I won the Worlds after that, so it was all... It's actually never really affected me. The only thing I would say about it is that it tires quicker.
Yeah.
So now it gets... If I'm doing anything bicep work, it gets tired much quicker. Okay. But in terms of strength, it's exactly the same as the other side.
Your press and your squats and deadlifts.
Yeah, so anything... Well, you don't really use your bicep for that. But
not too much.
So if I don't really train biceps, but if you do like a chin or a lat pull down or something like that, it doesn't affect me at all.
Okay. And did that put you out for a long time?
It was a few weeks, yeah.
That's not a small injury.
Yeah, I still tried to bench. You don't need biceps for benching. The only thing...
Don't listen to that. Yeah.
It was deadlift. It put me out because I couldn't straighten my arm properly for a while.
That fits in. I think it's something like 0.3% to 6% out of 100,000 people or something small like that happens. Generally, so there's a hook test called the test called the hook test where you find a tendon and you should be able to put your finger up underneath. If that's a bit hard to find and you can't quite reach it, then generally with the mechanism should have suspected something and got you seen at least. But it's amazing that you've gone all these years and it's still going strong.
Doesn't
bother you now? No pain or anything?
No.
Was there a big bruise there? Do you bruise easily?
Oh no, I had a blood test today. No?
I was going to say,
there's just it's not really too bad. So it's just, you can just sort of see there.
Okay. Yeah, there's a bit of a difference in that bulk. Yeah. So did you have the classic Popeye sign where it comes up quite far?
Yeah, it was. It was a bit. I didn't really notice it. Obviously, it was covered in ice for a while, and then I don't know. It was. I'd won that British anyway, so there we go.
Fair enough. Somebody's got some pain threshold. So that didn't put you out too much. Awesome. So yeah, just in terms of time frame, the next one was a quad. Is that right? Torn quad.
Yeah, again, just being silly. I thought I'd enter a strongman competition. It was never going to be my bag, strongman, but it was in Portsmouth.
Strong enough though. Yeah,
I thought I'd go along for a laugh.
Yeah.
And then I was doing okay. I think I was right in like second or something by the time that we got to this exercise. Yeah. But it was stupid. It was a hack squat machine for max reps, which you should never do because it makes you really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I'd won the event. And then there was a crowd there, and they're all going, one more. And I was like, yeah, one more.
Yeah.
So I did one more, and there was a massive crack.
Got you.
And then I've got a hole in my quad. That's never been done anything with, but it's still there. But
so still didn't get its repaired or anything like that. You okay? So
that's fine as well. Yeah. I've never really noticed that at all. I can feel it sometimes if with me that it's there. There's a little hole there, but it's never affecting anything.
That's interesting. So that would, in terms of time out. Was that
Actually, that was quite a long time. That was, Probably took me maybe 10 weeks to get over that. I think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. So I mean, especially such a demanding, squats, you can't really hide from that. And didn't see a doctor, didn't see a physio. Just
I did see a physio. Yeah, I went to see a physio a few times, and they worked on it quite hard.
They were happy with heading in the we call conservatism on surgery, and you were happy with that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There is a lot of surgery out there at the moment that's over the last few 10 to 20 years where historically you just get put in for surgery, and these days surgeons are getting, and we are all getting better at saying, let's just see how we feel, and it then becomes a patient decision. It's not necessarily I have to have surgery, it's where are you in your life, what are your goals. And for somebody powerlifting, one might assume you'd go for surgery, but you obviously
it was never really
else.
I don't think it was like a like it's obviously it's enough to leave me with a little hole in my leg.
In it,
yeah.
So pretty
But
decent.
it never really, I don't know, it never really seemed like an option. I just
You're quite comfortable with going
yeah.
Oh, amazing. So this was the 2014 one. So this is the
this is the big one.
Okay. So do you want to tell us about that?
So
2014 injury.
So it was I think October 2014. We were just doing the last squad sessions. I was with the British team, doing the last squad session, training for the World Championships in November.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out of I think I was weighing about, I was 118 kilos or so, and it was a 405 kilo squat, and I was coming out of the squat, and as I came up out of the squat, there was a massive bang in my shoulder.
Sure.
Obviously, I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
I can remember screaming out. It's on video. I got the mic took out of me quite a lot because it was quite a high pitched scream.
Okay. Well, it's understandable from what happened.
The bar went back in the rack, but then there was no pain whatsoever.
So once you were full loaded,
there was no pain whatsoever. I later found out that's because it was a complete rupture of the axillary nerve.
Yep.
So there was that's why there was no pain, because there was nothing there to say there was no pain.
There's no nerve endings to send information.
I instantly lost all touch sensation to my upper arm. And all deltoid function was gone.
Quickly. Yeah. Did you find that they atrophied very quickly?
So I went to A&E because I knew something was wrong. I couldn't work it out because I could still lift my arm up. We thought it was rotator cuff.
Yeah.
But I could still do all that stuff. I went to A&E. They told me it was rotator cuff.
There you go.
Which, luckily for me, I didn't buy that by that time.
Okay, so that's good.
I was like, I don't think this is right.
Yeah.
So I then made an appointment with my doctor.
Okay.
I went to my doctor. The doctor said, I think you need to go back to A&E to get anything done faster. So that was in Birmingham. I went to the first A&E.
Yeah.
I went to A&E down here in Portsmouth, and they basically said, okay, we know what's happened. And the doctor was really good. He kind of just, he put his hand on my shoulder and got me to lift my arm up and down and said, okay, I know what you've done. There's no deltoid function whatsoever. There's no muscle firing.
So he could feel that there was just lax.
Even though I could still lift my arm, but it was my trap doing everything.
You were coming up.
Yeah.
No.
So then...
It's a weird sensation, I guess, isn't it?
So then I got put forward to the Royal Stanmore.
Yeah. No.
To do nerve surgery.
Really incredible shoulder work there. Yeah.
I could never thank them enough.
They're
what a great hospital as well.
Yeah. We look to them for guidelines and protocols and things.
So off I went to Royal Stanmore. You get booked in. I said, even though it's NHS, it's lovely. There was a little welcome pack on my bed. It was really nice. You watch a video before you go in. Yeah. So then I was. It was 5 hours of surgery. I can't get my t-shirt. I've got a pretty big scar on my shoulder.
No doubt.
Then they basically said that by the time I'd got to surgery, it was like the March. So this was in October, so it was like the March.
Okay.
And they said that the nerve had started to grow again.
Great.
But they said, but it had nowhere to go because nerves were in sheaths.
Correct.
And so they then said, we've rebuilt everything to try and like stuffed it all back in.
Correct. Guide it.
Yeah, so it all grows. So they said it all grows back. The idea, and luckily for me, that surgery went really well because the idea with that surgery is they were going to take the nerve from my lat or tricep to fire the deltoids again. But because the nerve had started growing again, they didn't have to do that. So they managed to get it all put back together enough.
That's great.
That they just said, now you just got to wait some time.
Do you remember what they used? Okay, this is asking quite demanding question, but if they didn't find another nerve sheath to use, what do you remember what they used instead?
I have no idea.
No, that's fair.
All I can remember is that I was really mortified that he said that they had to cut some muscle.
Yeah, I imagine. Please don't do that. And I was thinking, you must have thought if they'd said they're going to take nerves from your traps and your lats.
I thought it was over. I generally, I think for me, in terms of my powerlifting career, it has finished it anyway. In terms of top level, because even now we're over 10 years later, and I reckon I get about 50% function in the shoulder compared to the other side.
So, and with the function, is that with your three main lifts, then you just feel that there's...
So it's all bench press. The other lifts are fine. So squatting and deadlifting is fine. Okay. Even shoulder press is fine.
Is it?
It's because the part of the shoulder that doesn't work is rear.
So that's what's left.
So because when you're on the bench press, you need that to stabilise your bench press. Yeah. So the rear delt has to really hold you when you press the bar.
Yep.
And also what it does is it enables you to lock out.
Yep.
So what happens now is when the weights get heavy, is my shoulder just lifts like this, and then I can't lock anything out when you're up here.
Yeah.
And that's all that happens. So
it's and it's an unbelievably rare injury. The other thing, interestingly, with EMG studies with bench, the heavier you go, what they've found is that obviously in terms of your press, your deadlifts, your rows, the different muscles, your row will lead with the lats. It's understandable. But what they found is the heavier the weight, the more your anterior cuff fires up to prevent the lats pulling the shoulder out. So it's the body basically going, well, no, hold up, we're gonna keep you in because the lats are so strong, and then the pec does the same thing. So when your pec gets fired up even more through your 70-80% your muscle firing, your posterior cuff actually starts firing to make sure your pecs don't pull you through. And one of the teres minor, one of the posterior cuff muscles, is innervated by that nerve as well. So then that's will be part of that process of not being able to control.
Mine doesn't work.
And it's just not there. That's it. So
I do still feel that today. If I try and isolate anything around the back, it's nowhere near as strong. Doesn't work very well.
And that's just your mind-muscle connection. You just can't quite.
I had to go back to Royal Stanmore. I think I went every 3 months for a year. Wow. And they did like the old conduction testing, just to test the nerve and that. And then after a year, they said, I think it's about as good as it's going to get.
Okay,
and that
fine.
was that.
I think that's it. It's one of those. Unfortunately, with those, you do reach a point where the time frame matches the predicted healing rate of the nerve, and that's where you'll end up. And so it's quite an interesting mechanism. You would expect something like a bench press or
I've no idea what happened. The only thing I can think is that the bar sat on my shoulders was just in the position where it was pinching it, and as I came out, it just stretched it too much that and it was being held by the bar that it just went.
Were you on your way up then?
I was probably 2/3 of the way out of the squat. Yeah.
Did you get a complete lift for that?
Oh well, I was training. So
fine.
Sorry, that squad. Yeah.
Did you have any bruising with that one?
No, I had no bruising at all. Just nothing. Yeah.
And the numbness, do you still have that?
Yeah, but there's certain places on my arm where you could put a red out poker and I wouldn't know you were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the questions, was how much of that has come back, and obviously we still got that left over.
The way I can describe it the most is because I know somebody's. If you're touching me, I know that I'm being touched, but it feels like there's a magazine on my arm. Does that make sense?
That's
so like somebody's put a magazine there, and then they're touching you through the magazine.
Just so far away. Interesting. And so, do you, in terms of, you don't squat anymore, or do you train squatting?
I squatted right up until the hip got too bad.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so, how did you manage that? Again, did that affect it that much? The squat?
It did to start with. So I had no bar position. So because the sensation wasn't there, I couldn't feel where the bar was.
Couldn't put it in the right spot.
Eventually, I got used to that. Eventually,
did you?
The guys will tell you that I used to go under the bar and I was never in the middle. Because I always thought I was in the middle and I was never in the middle.
So did you need maybe
other guys they would adjust me into the middle, and eventually that became the norm, that I would go back into the middle. Yeah.
Body. The adaptation that happens is incredible, isn't it? So you don't get any no worsening, and the deltoid muscle itself, the posterior aspect's gone, but you still have. It doesn't look like there's a huge.
No. I've actually strangely since I've not been squatting, I've been doing a lot more shoulder training.
Okay.
And I've done the biggest shoulder pressing that I've ever done in my whole career, and I was quite strong in shoulders. So so weird.
And what was the weight you pressed?
So I did a seated press behind neck for 2 reps with 130.
So that's bar behind neck going over the top. Nice.
Yeah, which is something I've never really been able to achieve that before.
It's quite hard, Was that recently?
Yeah, just recently. Probably a month or two ago,
Was that part of your training for the bench work that you're doing?
I've just taken to, on a Friday night, I'd normally squat.
Okay.
So I'd come in with my son and the other guys, they all squat and deadlift, and I'm helping them. Yeah. So then there's another guy comes in a little bit later, Ralph, and he does shoulders on a Friday. So I just started doing shoulders with him.
That's cool.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, I need to take a leaf out of that book. My arms are not the weakest part of me there. Also that's incredible, and just the fact that you've got back to where you are is amazing on that one. You mentioned your knee arthroscopy in 2018, so that was the one where it wasn't arthroscopy.
Yeah, it's decompression.
Decompression of the tendon. And talking about the hip, when did that start? Do you think?
So in 23, I actually think it's been going on for a long time. So without really realising it, I've been probably the last 6 years or so.
Yeah,
I've been feeling like a little pinch in the groin.
It's the way it often starts.
And And I didn't really know what it was. I didn't go and see anyone. I was just, typical bloke. I've got to be dying before I'm going to the doctor.
Sure. By the other injuries you have as well, yeah.
So, but eventually it was starting to cause problems. So in 23, I started to get red lights on the left side. So you have 3 referees when you do a squat, and your hip, the crease of your hip has to go below your knee. That's how low you have to go.
Okay, that's very low.
And I'd started to pick up a red light on the left side all the time. And
Just the left?
Just the left side. And I didn't know why.
Yeah.
But so obviously the right side can't see the hip, and from the front it's very difficult to see the hip crease. But what was happening is I was laying off of this side.
Got you.
So I wasn't bending as much.
Yeah.
And
you weren't necessarily aware of that.
And I wasn't aware of it at all. Yeah. Also on the deadlift, I'd something that never happened before. I was starting to pick up a red on the left side.
Interesting.
On the deadlift.
How did you get a red?
And that's because I wasn't locking out. So you just stand up at the top.
Yeah.
But this hip wasn't locking out, it was staying back. Because one of the things that's happened with the hip being like it is the glute has kind of stopped.
Yep.
So now I can't drive through to knock out.
Yeah, the tightness of the front of the hip flexor.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know. So that must be really fine margins when they call those reds, especially that.
And now we're at a point now where, I limp when I walk. I've been going and having some chiro to try and help me a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely helped me with walking. The pain of walking has kind of eased right off now.
Oh, that's good.
The limp's nowhere near as bad as it was.
Really?
I've lost all internal rotation.
Yeah.
So
that's
my
one of
gait,
the first signs.
So my gait had reduced to like just the length of my feet.
So we shuffling.
Yeah, but actually going to the chiro, and they've been seeing me very often. And my gait has come back quite a lot. I've got a little bit of internal rotation back now through seeing them. So walking has become a bit easier. However, things like bending to put a sock on or do my shoelace up is a nightmare now. It's pretty non-existent, to be fair. And
is this affecting the activities of daily living, your ADLs? Is that something that's now
it affects me? Yeah, it affects me every day. Yeah, and it's been going on for a while now. I've been to the doctors about 3 times. They don't really want to do anything because you can still walk. So they don't want to. However, I had some private X-rays done.
Yep.
And I've got a friend in Scotland who's a doctor.
Okay.
She showed it to a hip specialist that works in a hospital.
Yep.
And he said he could fix that with an arthroscopy.
We had the clean up. Yeah.
So what he said was that I don't know the terminology. So let's say, so where the femur goes into the hip, it's the hip that has overgrown. It's got spurs or whatever on it.
Okay.
And he said, and that's why I can't bend properly because it's pinching. So he said we could go with an arthroscopy and we could take all that off, and then I'll be good to go.
So it's called femoral acetabular impingement, so FAI. You get 2 types. You get cam and pincer. So the cam is necessarily where the neck itself gets thick, and you can't move as well, and your rotation's affected because the neck of the femur is thicker. So where you'd be able to get around the corner, the neck is thicker, and then the pincers sounds like yours, osteophyte sort of growths around the not the labrum but the joint. That's the pincer sort of thing. So then that's what's causing the pinch.
Yeah.
And those are relatively common. I think in elite footballers, they say that almost all professional footballers and those who are involved in heavily change of direction, hip dominant sports will develop them quite early on. And for somebody who's been training and lifting like yourself, I think it could be worth. With this turning into a bit of a device, but it could be worth looking at because I've looked into it.
So you know what it is nowadays with doctors, it's very difficult. But I did an e-consult. I attached all those private X-rays to the e-consult and told the surgery what my friend doctor had told me.
Sure.
And I have got an appointment on Monday.
Oh well, look at that.
So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, I want that done.
Sure.
I want that investigated and looked at. So let's try and move forward.
Well, I hope that goes well. I mean, it is generally something that you, again, like the holistic approach, patient-centered care, you'd look at all of the factors of your life, and you're now it's affecting putting socks on and affecting walking. If it had gone backwards, and obviously it sounds more logical.
Well, I've got elastic laces, so you know that's how bad it is. Okay. Yeah, right. That's how bad it is.
Elastic laces. Let's get to see this. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I hope that goes well. I mean, I think touch wood, the outcomes generally from arthroscopy tend to be a little bit better. I haven't done specific hip arthroscopy research for this episode, but in the past I have, and I think generally you'll get a bit more range, a bit more freedom. The rotator cuff of the hip, so your small rotators, internal external rotators, will be massively important post-surgery because you want to control that. And then mobility around your hip flexor as well to open that up. But hopefully, and one of the things they'll probably be looking at, they've probably told you already, is probably to just delay any total hip or total, joint surgery.
Yeah,
because
I want that myself. Yeah, I'm 51. I don't want that.
No.
But if I've got an opportunity to be able to walk without pain, that's
absolutely. Yeah. And I think there's for somebody who's fit and well, and I think what's really physios at MSK generally love people who are keen, we want to lean into that and help you as much as possible, and obviously patients who aren't anyway. But for yourself who loves the gym and comes regularly, there shouldn't be too many barriers, and working on glutes and things, there should be some stuff. Might not look quite as cool as a big deadlift or a squat, but I think a few months of rehab should help quite well. And yeah, it's a pity that it's got to the stage, I guess. But with your pain threshold, are you taking pain relief, by the way?
Only sometimes. If I do a lot of walking in a day, I have to have pain relief. Otherwise, it's awful. But so if I go on holiday, I tend to take ibuprofen every day because that means I can walk around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's okay. Otherwise, it ruins everything. Sure. Because I already noticed that I now. If there's not a car parking space near the front of the shop I want to go to, it fills me with dread because I know that even the long walk across the car park, the way back is going to be horrendous.
It's draining as well. I guess you're tired. Yeah. It does affect you, and you get grouchy and all sorts. I mean, it does affect. So hopefully that settles down quite nicely. Do you have any other injuries hidden in the locker that we haven't mentioned?
No, I don't think so.
Haven't think so.
I'm sure there's been.
Not,
I'm sure there's been loads of stuff over the years, like back niggles and things. Nothing ever major has ever happened apart from that. No. You've had all the major stuff you've had. I
was going to say that's a good list anyway. I just thought we'd double check. What future goals have you got in terms of powerlifting? Then, you mentioned bench. Are you going for that?
So I'm a Masters 2 now. So Masters 1 is 40 to 49, and then now I'm 50. So obviously I haven't lifted for a couple of years. But my friend Ellie again, she's just turned to be a bench only athlete because of family pressure. Yeah. And she said, "Well, come on, you can do bench, can't you?" Which I can. Obviously, I'm not like I was when I was before the injury in the shoulder, but I can bench. So I've still pressed 200 a couple of times.
That's amazing.
So I think we're going to go for that. I need to qualify for the British, which I'm going to do in December, and then and then I'll lift at the British. Hopefully, lifting at the British, I'll get on the British team for the Masters 2 team anyway.
Awesome.
And then the World Championships in Poland next year. So
when
that's May.
May. Okay, so it's coming around. It's kind of
it'll be
surprisingly this time of year it goes up to Christmas. It disappears quickly, doesn't it?
So I've got to try and fit it all in because also I'm the British coach.
That was the next question because you mentioned it.
I'm the coach for the head coach for the British team.
Amazing.
And their Europeans is in early May.
Okay.
And we got the Worlds in Romania in November, just coming up now.
Sure. So no pressure. Have you got? Are you as a coach? Have you got any injuries you having to manage from athletes or anything there?
No, they're all pretty good. Wow, we've got a couple of lifters that are straining with age a little bit, but powerlifting's a hard sport when it comes to that. When you've been doing it, I always said, I think if you train at a high level, 20 years, and then things will start to wane.
Start to feel it. You wake up in the next morning and you know.
I think if you've not been at the high level for a length of time, then you're okay. But I don't think it matters what age you start. I think 20 years.
So you can shift that.
Yeah, so I think people that start when they're 30, they'll be able to go on a lot older.
That's interesting.
But there we go. So.
And that coaching was a natural fit?
Yeah, so obviously with the shoulder injury, I wanted to stay involved in powerlifting. Yeah. So while I couldn't lift when the shoulder was recovering, I started doing a bit of coaching. I started going away with the junior team as like an assistant. Then I became the coach for the junior team.
Great.
I also then at that time joined the bench team. And I was an assistant coach on the bench team. Kind of learning your craft, isn't it?
Isn't it? So you're just soaking up.
Yeah. So
yeah.
When I say coaching at a competition, so this is they call it the game day coaching. So there's a lot of tactics, picking weights and knowing what your lifter can lift and all those kind of things. So that's how I think I've learnt that over the years.
Yeah.
And then I started working with the head coach for the British team, which was actually my coach years ago, Aaron Singh, which I mentioned him.
Amazing.
And then when he thought it was time, he then said that he was going to retire from being the head coach, and then I took over.
Very nice. It's quite a smooth transition.
Yeah, that was in 2017, say, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Awesome. So how much of that...
We had a break for COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been hard. How did you cope with that? Did you sneak... I mean, gyms were closed for a while, I guess. Did you have stuff at home? Did you work with?
Yeah, so we actually took some kit from here. Okay. And because my son was fully into it didn't really matter too much to me, but my son was fully into it, really going well.
Yeah.
We realised that he's pretty talented, so and he did an Instagram thing, and it was called the Lifting Kitchen.
Oh, great!
And we set up basically a squat rack and a bench in the kitchen dining room, and that was there for the whole of COVID.
No,
so he could train. Yeah. He squatted. I think he squatted 330 in the kitchen.
Casual.
And the bar's about 1.5 inches from the radiator.
I was going to say, don't knock over the cup of tea or something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So,
put the kettle on while you're in there. Sort of
there is. If you look on his Instagram, there's all videos and stuff of him deadlifting in the garden. And that was fun because obviously every rep in the garden, the bar got further and further away from you.
Yeah, I bet into the floor.
Yeah,
into the floor. Absolutely. I'd imagine that's working around the problem. That's pretty good, and he's doing well.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so he's been. So let's say 4 years ago, because he's just come home. So 4 years ago, he got a scholarship to an American university for powerlifting.
Oh, amazing!
It's the first scholarship ever given to an international student for powerlifting in the world.
What uni was that?
It was Midland University in Nebraska.
Oh, cool.
And so he went out there and he trained with an 80-strong powerlifting team for 4 years, for the last 4 years. Absolutely loved it, and got a degree as well. It was like a movie, because he was never going to get a degree if he stayed here. He didn't have an A-level or anything. They basically said, "Don't worry, we'll sort it all out." And they did. He's done all that. So he came back in May, all finished.
So pretty recently then, yeah? Well, not recently now, obviously back in the year, but this year.
Yeah, so he came back in May. It's been nice. He's come back to the gym. Obviously, he's been back Christmas and summers and stuff in between anyway. But it's really good to have him back, and let's try and get him as strong as he can be. He wants to squat 505 kilos, which would be the biggest squat ever done in a drug-tested federation. So
that's impressive. Well, hopefully you go as well. We'll put the video up somewhere of him doing some training.
Well, you can find his videos up there of him squatting 475.5, which he did in April this year.
Wow,
it's a pretty impressive video.
That's incredible. Well, viewers, jump on that. That. And the final bit before we let you go, because I know it's a Friday night, Friday evening. Do you have any, with your experience powerlifting and as a coach, if there's any physios working with powerlifters? Because you do get a very big spectrum in physio. You get people who are incredibly nerdy and want to go and do S&C, they do masters, and then you get good physios who are generalists and they don't necessarily do reps and sets and things. Have you got any? I didn't ask you to prepare anything, so I'm just springing this on you. But any suggestions or anything for physios treating powerlifters if they have someone? I don't know.
Be hands on.
Be hands on. Yeah.
I think any powerlifter I've ever spoken to, and myself included.
Yeah.
I really like it when you go to a physio and they get in there.
You get stuck in.
They get stuck in. Yeah.
All right, they get the elbow out.
Yeah.
Right.
I really
Good
do. I appreciate that. Yeah, when you feel like you've had something done.
Fine. And that's getting into areas that you probably can't stretch as well.
Yeah.
Any lifting, I guess, it's probably too general to kind of isolate that at the moment. But I think that we've covered all the bases, and thank you very much for your time. It's been amazing to hear about what you've been able to do and achieve, and still pushing for that bench. And I hope, is it Ray, your son?
Yeah,
hopefully Ray goes well as well, and we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
So any final comments from yourself? Or?
Oh, no, fine. Yeah, I think it's good. I've enjoyed it. It's been a great interview.
No, honestly, it's been great that we've been able to get through all that and taking your time. So we'll finish there, but thanks again. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All the best going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.